Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Pathak, and I'm the product marketing lead for Square's developer platform and experience.
And I'm Noor Rabie, and I'm the product manager for Afterpay and Cash App Pay for developers.
We're excited to spend some time with you all today, walking you through how to integrate with Afterpay and Cash App Pay with your app built on Square's Web Payments SDK. We'll host a Q&A at the end, so please add your questions into the chat at any point during the session. As many of you know, we released Afterpay for our developers and partners in February this year as a way for you to offer buy now, pay later payments as an option in your e-commerce app. This morning, we released Cash App Pay, another mobile payment option for your app. In this session, we're going to deep dive into each of these payment methods and show you how to add them to your e-commerce app with Web Payments SDK. For those of you who aren't familiar with Web Payments SDK, it's a JavaScript SDK that replaces the former Square payment form and lets you build custom, responsive online payment experiences. Web Payments SDK features simple configuration of payment methods and end-to-end server integration, JavaScript bundles served from our global CDN for faster checkouts, and automatic localization through the SDK based on buyer location. Not to mention, Web Payments SDK supports a variety of payment types, including card payments, ACH bank transfers, Afterpay, and now Cash App Pay. And now I'm going to hand it off to Noor to talk through our new payment methods.
Thanks, Laher. I'll start with Afterpay. Afterpay is a global leader in the buy now, pay later space. They let customers pay for transactions in 4 interest-free installments while businesses get paid the full amount up front. More than 20 million customers have signed up for Afterpay in North America, and there are 100,000 businesses accepting Afterpay globally. With this release, our developers and partners in the US and Australia can add Afterpay to their Web Payments SDK integration with just a few lines of code. We're eager to roll this out to additional countries in the future. Our partner Irisworks was one of the first developers to add Afterpay to their app. A bit of background on Irisworks. The company helps photographers and creatives manage their business through online booking and invoicing. Irisworks was already live on Web Payments SDK when we announced Afterpay, and they added Afterpay in just a few business days, saying the integration was incredibly quick and simple. Pretty remarkable, and we're grateful for their partnership. On to Cash App Pay. If you're not familiar, Cash App is a popular mobile payments app that users, particularly Gen Z and millennials, use to transfer and accept money from friends. Cash App is a new payment method that lets users pay businesses from their Cash App account, whether it's their Cash App balance or through a linked bank account. As you can see in the example, customers click the Cash App Pay button at checkout, scan the QR code on desktop, and then pay from Cash App on their mobile device. Or if customers are already on mobile, Cash App opens automatically when they click the button at checkout. It's a fast and familiar way to pay. No card number, expiration date, CVV, or billing address required. Here are some of the key features of both Afterpay and Cash App Pay. Aside from the ability to create payments and issue refunds, Afterpay and Cash App come equipped with full webhook support to understand state changes, an end-to-end sandbox experience to allow you to release with confidence, the ability to monetize with application fees, API SDK support in 6 programming languages, and finally, full dispute and chargeback support so you and the businesses you serve can focus on building the right solutions for your customers while Square handles the complexities around payments. In case you're not convinced yet, there are a few key reasons to integrate with Afterpay and Cash App Pay. First of all, there's demand for these payment methods. They're popular with customers. Afterpay in particular has proven to help businesses increase revenue and retain customers. Second of all, we're making it easy to add these payment methods to your Square integrations so you don't have to juggle multiple integrations. Lastly, all payments that you accept, including Afterpay and Cash App Pay, will flow into Square's Payments API for you and Square Dashboard for your customers. So everyone has a centralized view of all payments processed. Here's a visualization of the payments flow. Recall it starts with Web Payments SDK, the JavaScript SDK that powers all your payment methods from cards, gift cards, digital wallets, bank payments, and buy now, pay later. From there, a post request is made to our Payments API using the payment token generated by Web Payments SDK. Our Payments API abstracts away any complexity around payments and only requires a payment token and an amount to process the payment. Finally, you can leverage our Payments API as a central source to manage all your payments.
That's all from us. Now we'd like to play a demo that the engineer on our team, Alex Manning, pulled together for today's session.
Thanks, Laher. Hi, my name is Alex, and I work on the Web Payments Experience team here at Block. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to add Afterpay and Cash App Pay to your website. Let's add the Web Payments SDK script to our HTML page. We will first start with Afterpay. The first thing we want to do is add an HTML form element which will hold our Afterpay button. Next, I'm going to go to our JS file and add some code to bootstrap the Web Payments SDK. Let's first add a DOM content event loaded listener, and let's make it asynchronous. Now, let's bootstrap the Web Payments SDK by initializing the payments instance. For Afterpay, we'll first want to create a payment request. I've already created one for this demo. We will then want to listen to a shipping address change event for Afterpay. In this example, every time a shipping address change event occurs, we'll return 2 shipping options with different totals. Now, we will create an Afterpay instance using the payment request we created. And we will attach the Afterpay instance to the screen. We can now see the Afterpay button. However, when we click on it, nothing happens. This is because we need to add a click event listener, which will start the tokenization process. We will first get the Afterpay button from the DOM. We will then add a click handler on the button, which will call tokenization on our Afterpay instance. The token result will be displayed as an alert. Now that we have everything set up, let's go through the Afterpay flow. Your buyer will enter in their email address and their password when they use Afterpay and have the ability to remember it for next checkout. They will be able to see the different shipping options you provided as part of your payment request. And now, let's complete the Afterpay flow. We can now use the payment token received from Afterpay with Block's Payment API to complete the payment flow. Now that we have Afterpay working, let's add Cash App Pay to our page. We'll first want to add a Cash App Pay element into our HTML file. Next, I will create a payment request just for Cash App Pay. Cash App Pay only needs a total, the currency code, and the country code. You can reuse the payment request created for Afterpay. Just know that a number of fields do not apply to Cash App Pay. In this example, I will create a payment request just used for Cash App Pay. Now, we will initialize Cash App Pay with our newly created payment request and a redirect URL. The redirect URL is required for interactions happening on a mobile device, as the buyer will be asked to authenticate in Cash App and will then be redirected to your page afterwards. In this example, the reference ID is optional, but will help you better track Cash App Pay transactions. Next, I'm going to add an on-tokenization event listener. Cash App Pay will emit an on-tokenization event upon payment token creation or failure. And just like before, we'll alert upon receiving our token result. Finally, we will attach Cash App Pay to the page. The style options are not required but will allow you to better customize the Cash App Pay button to your liking. Now, let's go through the Cash App Pay flow. I will be scanning the Cash App Pay barcode and then be approving the request on my phone. And as you see, we now have a token. Thank you for your time, and back to you, Laher.
Awesome. So now we'd like to open it up for questions from any of you. We've got a few here that are getting funneled into us. Noor, would you like to take the first one?
Absolutely. We've got a question from James. Did you fix the issue that payment details cannot be retrieved from the transaction ID of the Orders API? So now that Cash App is in, as a payment method is generally available, you can retrieve Cash App payments from either the Orders API or the Payments API. So yes, that is possible.
Great. We've got a second question here from Michael. Richard, would you like to introduce yourself and answer this one?
Hi. Yeah, sure. I'm Richard. I'm the head of developer advocacy here at Square. And the question from Michael is, do you plan on making an official React SDK? I actually spent several weeks getting the JavaScript Web SDK functioning on my Next.js app. The other issue I found was the API call returning invalid JSON payment details after taking card/ACH payments in the sandbox. So I can answer the first one pretty easily. We have a community-supported React wrapper for Web Payments SDK, and we would hope that it's going to actually implement these additional functionalities in the coming weeks. They usually have to wait until we actually officially release stuff before they can integrate it. But they were able to add in things like Afterpay relatively easily. And the one of the things I would call out for, particularly with Next.js, is because it has server-side rendering, there are a few extra steps that you would actually have to take. I would recommend watching one of our YouTube videos where we actually talk about how to implement the React Web Payments SDK using React and Next.js. So you can go ahead and find that over on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/c/squaredev. As for the issues with the API call returning invalid JSON, that's actually a really great question that I would highly recommend posting that into our forum so that our support engineers can actually look in that in a little bit more detail so we could find out exactly what was being returned. Hope that answers your question, though.
Great. We've got another question from Jean-Sebastian. Does Afterpay work when you're using a SaaS platform so that we can handle Afterpay for other Square clients? I forgot the name of this for this in Square. Richard, Noor, can one of you take this question?
I think looking at the question, I'm maybe curious what is meant by SaaS, if it's just subscription as a service. I don't know that we could necessarily, I mean, Noor might know a little bit more than I do, supporting Afterpay for something like recurring payments. Generally, that has to be with like a card on file or the, with subscriptions API, like that's, can be done through the invoicing API. But I don't know that like things like digital wallets or Afterpay would necessarily be supported yet with something like subscriptions API.
That's right, Richard. Afterpay currently does not allow you to store the payment method on file, but like with all payment methods, they're looking at exploring the ability to do so in the future.
Great. And it looks like we've got one more question. Apologies if I mistake your name, from Verena Huja. When does Square plan to extend the Cash App Pay functionality for the mobile SDK?
Yeah, I can take that one later. We currently don't have a timeline, but Square is very invested in our mobile SDKs and gaining parity with what currently exists with Web SDK. And as we launch future payment methods, we're looking to ensure that mobile SDK is supported as well for Afterpay and Cash App Pay.
And it seems that we have a clarification from Jean that says that with SaaS, I can process payments on other Square clients. Can I do the same thing with Afterpay? I believe this is probably using through like an OAuth access token and like actually processing on behalf of another merchant. And yes, you should be able to do that. That's one of like the key functionalities that Web Payments SDK offers. Noor can probably keep me honest here, but one of the things is that the seller does have to be onboarded for supporting Afterpay as a payment method in order for you to be able to use that for that merchant.
That's correct, Richard. Afterpay has eligibility requirements, which are listed on our developer documentation. The majority of Square sellers are eligible, but there are certain merchant category codes that Afterpay does not support.
Well, it looks like we have a question from Andrew Mondi. Is it possible to use Cash App as payment on file for recurring billing?
Nor do you know the answer to that one? I know currently it does not. It's not supported, but I don't know beyond that.
That's right. Currently, it's not supported, but in the future, we are definitely looking to support on-file capabilities for Cash App as well as Afterpay.
And then it looks like it's not a question, but an update from someone of that they're close to releasing a new version, a version 3.0 of the React Square Web Payments SDK. That's the community-supported React wrapper for Web Payments SDK that I was referring to earlier. So it's great to know that there's going to be a new version coming out soon.
All right, I'll read this one out loud. So from Michael Casey, I'm making a marketplace app, so I need to take payments and make payments. I can take payments now with Square, but is it possible to automate the payments out to our partners providing services using Square? I'm kind of stuck doing manual transfers for the latter now.
It's a good question. I think I maybe need to understand a little bit more detail into like how the things are flowing here, because it sounds like maybe you're taking payments, but then having to remit payouts to the Square sellers themselves. I hope that maybe we can get like a additional clarification of like that's what you're trying to do. I'll give it a little bit of time for us to get the response relayed back to us. I can say that if that is the case, we don't currently have a way for you to sort of do like a Square merchant account, like merchant to merchant funds transfer. That's not a functionality that we currently support. If it's something that you really do want within the APIs, I do highly recommend going into our developer forums. It's developer.squareup.com/forums. We have a whole feedback section. We're monitoring that regularly. We actually have all of our product managers are following each one of those different APIs and using that feedback in order to figure out like what to put on their roadmap. I think Cigar is like giving a clarification of like Stripe like payouts. Yeah, I figured that's kind of like what this is like trying to pay out a seller from your own Square account, which is not something that we currently support. And there's one more question here. I don't know if it's really a question or a statement from, please forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, Akish. It's multi-partner payments. We use it through Square. That sounds, the way that we currently support something like that would be like an app fee money, where you're processing on behalf of a seller, and then you have a either fixed amount, percentage amount, where you can actually take a portion of the payment being processed, and that gets routed to your own developer account. And then I will probably just read out this clarification from Michael Casey. with the details is we are providing a marketplace for manufacturing. So we sell these manufacturers services. We take a small rake, but we need to send most money to the manufacturers. Payouts is what I think I'm looking for. So yeah, that does sound like similar to the functionality. Like the most that you could probably do right now is, you handle your app fee money, you get money transferred to your own account, but then you would probably still have to be invoicing those other manufacturers in order to, well, actually, that still probably wouldn't work. It sounds like you would still need some sort of like payout kind of functionality.
Noor, Richard, looks like William says, does the fee split API do something like that?
Yes. I mean, that's kind of what I was referring to with the app fee money on payments. But the way that works is it's only ever really going to split it between the merchant that you're processing on behalf of and your own account. And like that's kind of how the split occurs. But it's not going to necessarily route it to like another merchant account, because it sounds like that's like there's this third party that's sort of involved that needs to be paid out for the processing that took place.
Great, and I can take this next one from Marcus. So thanks for the Q&A. Could you talk about the advantages of using Cash App Pay or Afterpay? How might it help sellers or developers? This is something we've been thinking a lot about. Both of these are extremely flexible payment methods for customers. So we're seeing, as we mentioned, thousands and sometimes millions of consumers actually using Afterpay and Cash App Pay at checkout. The benefit is really when we offer these flexible payment methods to users, it helps drive customer retention and loyalty. So it enables them to pay with methods that they prefer, whether that's their Afterpay account or their Cash App Pay account. We do make it really easy at Square to add both of these payment methods to your app. It's really just a few lines of code on top of your Web Payments SDK integration. And actually, both Cash App Pay and Afterpay are also available on the new Checkout API, and it is included as a pre-built integration into Checkout API. So it doesn't require any additional code that you would need to write. So we really make it as simple as possible. And the idea here is that you're able to serve new demographics of customers and drive more of that customer retention and loyalty. Looks like we've got, go ahead, Richard.
I was just gonna, I'm excited about this next question, but I don't know the answer to you, but so Corey Zachary is asking, how can Square be applied to esports and game streaming? It's a really great question because I think that there's probably several ways that somebody who's doing esports or game streaming could leverage Square for doing their own monetization strategy. I think that you could easily set up a website using Square Online, or you can even use Web Payments SDK or Terminal API, or several of these other things to integrate directly within those platforms. If you wanted to allow people to go off platform and then donate directly to you or buy some of your merch, I think that those are some of the easier short-term ways. But I'd love to learn more from what you might think. So please, if you have ideas, share those. And I'm going to keep plugging the developer forums because we love to hear feedback in there. So if there's ideas that you have in there, we're happy to help you figure out what might work best for you.
Looks like the next question is from James. Do we have mobile SDKs for Cash App Pay or Afterpay?
I can take this one, Lahir. We currently don't support Cash App Pay and Afterpay on our mobile SDK. It's currently only supported on Web Payments SDK, but we continue to make investments in our mobile SDK and plan to support these in the future.
Great. And we've got a question from Lily. I am not a developer, a web designer that helps implement Square Online. Is there a front-end solution or app that helps do split fees like Stripe Connect? We've used it before with Gloria Foods, for example.
I can maybe, so the answer that I would give is one of just, I would highly recommend going into the Square App Marketplace and looking through what we have available there. I just don't know off the top of my head if we have a partner that helps specifically with splitting the app fee money for Square Online. If there isn't anything in the app marketplace, again, I would love to hear that feedback of that desire, and then we can go ahead and bring that to the partnerships team and see what we have in terms of availability.
Great, and I can take this next one from Marcus. Are these payment methods available for Terminal API or Reader SDK? Great question. They're not available today. It is something that we hope to bring to you all in the future, but no, currently those are not available on our in-person payment APIs. We'll give it a couple minutes for any other questions that come through and get passed to us. All right, we have a question from Michael Casey. Looks like it is or more so a comment, I think, back to Jose. I actually tried using Seed's wrapper. It did not work with Next.js. Unfortunately, I ended up writing my own code to integrate, and it's all working 100% now. It just took a while.
Interesting. The one thing I would say, and I highly recommend, go check out the video that we've created on integrating their wrapper into Next.js. There is an additional library that you need to use for transpiling modules. It's because the types are not necessarily present, and then you have to use our @square/web SDK library, which gives all of the type definitions for Web Payments SDK. This is getting a little bit into like the nitty gritty of like specifically how this works with Next.js and server-side rendering. But again, check out the video. If it still doesn't make sense, please reach out to myself or reach out to us on Square Dev. We're in the forums, but you can get the wrapper working with Next.js. I can vouch for it because I created a whole video about how to do it.
All right. I think that's it for questions, it seems. Thank you all for contributing. These were great and really get us thinking about kind of how we're thinking about these payment methods as well. So really appreciate your contributions. Thanks for joining and hope you enjoy the rest of Unboxed and the day.